The morning sun streamed through the laboratory windows as Dr. Emma Stone peered into her microscope. She had been studying human DNA patterns for the past 5 years, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen that day. A soft blue light filled the room, making Emma look up from her work. She blinked twice, unsure if her tired eyes were playing tricks on her. In front of her desk stood a tall, crystal-like figure that seemed to glow from within. The being was shaped like a human but was made entirely of what looked like blue crystal. "Dr. Stone," the crystal being spoke in a clear, gentle voice. "I am Ambassador Ray from the Stellar Republic. We need your help." Emma's hand shook as she put down her coffee cup. Her first thought was to call security, but something about the visitor's peaceful presence made her pause. "How do you know my name?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "We have been watching Earth's progress in genetics for some time," Ray answered, moving closer with smooth, flowing steps. The crystal body caught the sunlight, creating small rainbows on the lab walls. "Your work on DNA repair mechanisms is particularly interesting to us." Emma stood up slowly, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. The being before her was clearly advanced far beyond human technology, yet there was something almost sad in its glowing eyes. "What kind of help do you need?" Ray's crystal form pulsed slightly, like a heartbeat. "My people are dying, Dr. Stone. We need human DNA to save our species." The statement hung in the air for a moment. Emma walked around her desk, her mind racing with questions. "I don't understand. Your species seems far more advanced than ours. Why would you need human DNA?" "Advanced does not always mean better," Ray said, touching one of the lab's DNA models with a crystalline finger. "Long ago, my people chose to modify ourselves, to become what we thought was perfect. We replaced organic cells with crystal matrices, encoded our DNA into light patterns, and freed ourselves from organic limitations." The ambassador's form dimmed slightly, or so we thought. Emma found herself reaching for her notebook, old habits kicking in. "You're saying your species was once organic, like us?" "Yes, but now we face extinction because of our choices. Our engineered perfection has become our prison. We can no longer adapt naturally to new challenges. Each generation becomes more unstable than the last." Looking at her computer screens filled with human DNA sequences, Emma felt a strange mix of pride and worry. "And you think human DNA can help? We're hardly perfect. Our genetic code is full of what we once called junk DNA." Ray's crystal body brightened. "That imperfection is exactly what we need. Your species chose a different path. You evolved naturally, keeping all the messy but vital parts of your genetic code. Those parts you call junk contain the very secrets of adaptation we lost." Emma sat back in her chair, the weight of the situation sinking in. This wasn't just about scientific discovery anymore. An entire species was asking for humanity's help. "What exactly are you proposing?" "We request samples of human DNA and your help in studying them. Of course, we will share our knowledge in return." But Ray paused, the crystal form flickering slightly. "There are those among my people who oppose this plan. They believe asking humans for help is a sign of weakness." "Politics," Emma said with a small smile. "Some things are universal, it seems." "Indeed." Ray moved toward the window, looking out at the busy city below. "We don't have much time, Dr. Stone. Will you help us?" Emma looked at her life's work spread across the lab tables. Here was a chance to not only advance human knowledge, but to save an entire civilization. The scientist in her couldn't refuse such an opportunity. "Yes," she said firmly. "I'll help, but we do this carefully, following proper protocols." Ray's crystal form glowed brighter, hope shining through every facet. "Thank you, Dr. Stone. You may have just saved my entire species." Little did either of them know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change both their species forever. 2 weeks had passed since Ambassador Ray's arrival at Emma's lab. The small room was now filled with strange crystal equipment that glowed with soft light. Emma sat at her desk, looking through a special microscope Ray had brought. What she saw made her gasp. "This is amazing," she said, watching the crystal patterns in Ray's DNA sample change color. "Your DNA actually stores information as light patterns." Ray stood nearby, crystal body pulsing gently. "Yes, but that's also our biggest problem. Watch what happens when we try to make changes." Emma looked closer as Ray added a small drop of liquid to the sample. The beautiful light patterns became dim and broken. "It's like the DNA can't hold new information," she said. "Exactly." Ray's voice carried a hint of sadness. "When my people changed themselves from organic to crystal forms, they thought they were making themselves perfect. But they didn't understand one important thing." Emma looked up from the microscope. "What was that?" "Nature doesn't want perfection. It wants adaptation." Ray touched one of the lab's DNA models with a crystal finger. "Your human DNA is always changing, always ready to face new challenges. Ours is locked in place, like a beautiful statue that can't move." Emma walked to her computer and pulled up some old files. "Look at this," she said, pointing to the screen. "These parts of human DNA that scientists once thought were useless, we now know they help us adapt to new environments." Ray leaned closer to the screen, crystal body glowing brighter with interest. "Can you show me more?" For the next few hours, Emma explained how human DNA worked. She showed Ray how certain parts of the DNA could turn on or off depending on what the body needed. She explained how small changes could help humans survive in different places, from hot deserts to cold mountains. "It's not perfect," Emma said, "but that's what makes it work so well. Our DNA is messy, but it's flexible." Ray's crystal form dimmed slightly. "My people wanted to remove all the mess, all the unused parts. We thought we were making ourselves better." The ambassador paused. "We were wrong." Emma was about to respond when her computer beeped. New test results were ready. She quickly opened the files and stopped, her eyes going wide. "Ray," she said slowly, "I think you need to see this." The test results showed something incredible. When Ray's crystal DNA was placed near human DNA, it started to change. The light patterns became stronger, more like they were in Ray's old records. "This is impossible," Ray whispered, crystal body flashing with excitement. "Our DNA hasn't changed on its own in centuries." Emma pointed to more data on the screen. "It's not just changing. Look at these patterns. They're similar to some very old parts of human DNA. It's like..." She paused, hardly believing what she was seeing. "It's like your DNA remembers being organic." Ray stood very still, crystal form glowing brighter than Emma had ever seen. "Dr. Stone, do you understand what this means?" Emma nodded slowly. "Your people didn't just choose a different path from humans. At some point in the very distant past, we might have been related." "My people need to know about this," Ray said, moving toward the communication device in the corner. But before reaching it, the ambassador stopped. "No, some of them aren't ready for this truth. Especially Commander Vale." "Who's Commander Vale?" Emma asked, saving the test results to a secure file. Ray turned back to her, crystal form now pulsing with worry. "Someone who would rather see our species die than admit we need help from organics. And if he finds out about this connection between our species..." Ray's voice trailed off. Emma looked at her computer screen, then at Ray. "What do we do now?" "We keep working," Ray said firmly. "But we must be very careful. The truth about our species connection could either save us or tear us apart." Outside the lab windows, the sun was setting, casting long shadows through the crystal equipment. Neither Emma nor Ray knew that they were about to face challenges far bigger than they imagined. The laboratory was quiet except for the soft hum of machines when the warning came. Ray's communication crystal flashed red, filling the room with harsh light. "It's Commander Vale," Ray said, crystal form dimming with worry. "He's coming to Earth. Now." Emma looked up from her work, pushing away test tubes filled with glowing liquid. "How much time do we have?" "Hours at most. He's bringing his whole team. Ray moved to the window, looking at the night sky. Vale leads those who think we shouldn't work with humans. He wants more crystal engineering instead. Just then, Emma's computer made a strange sound. New test results appeared on the screen. Ray, look at this. She called out excitedly. The human junk DNA. It's doing something to your crystal patterns. Ray rushed over, crystal body pulsing with bright colors. The screen showed something amazing. The human DNA wasn't just helping Ray's species, it was trying to wake up old patterns in their crystal DNA. It's like your DNA remembers how to change and grow, Emma said, pointing to the moving patterns. But it needs human DNA to remember how. Before Ray could answer, a new light filled the room. A tall crystal figure appeared, glowing with harsh red light. Unlike Ray's gentle blue glow, this one seemed angry and cold. What is this? Commander Vale's voice was sharp like broken glass. Ambassador Ray, you were supposed to collect samples, not work with humans directly. Emma stood up straight, facing the new visitor. Commander Vale, we've made important discoveries. Your DNA still remembers. Silence. Organic. Vale cut her off. Ray, you disappoint me. Working in a primitive lab with primitive beings. Vale walked around the room, his crystal form casting red shadows. Our people became perfect when we left organic forms behind. We don't need help from creatures who still carry useless DNA. You're wrong, Ray said firmly. That useless DNA is exactly what we need. Emma has proven. Dr. Stone, Emma corrected automatically. Both crystal beings turned to look at her. She didn't back down. If you're going to dismiss my work, at least use my proper title. Vale's form flashed with anger, but Ray moved between them. Commander, please, look at the test results. Our crystal DNA is failing because we removed too much. We thought we were removing garbage, but we were removing the parts that let us change and grow. Lies. Vale's voice shook the windows. We are perfect. We just need better crystal engineering. More changes to make us stronger. Emma stepped forward, holding up a tablet with test results. But that's exactly why you're dying. Too many changes, no way to adapt naturally. Your DNA patterns are breaking down. Vale knocked the tablet from her hand. Our ways have kept us alive for thousands of years. And they'll kill you in less than 100 more, Emma said calmly, picking up the tablet. The tests don't lie, Commander. Your people were organic once, just like us. The proof is in your DNA. We were never like you. Vale's crystal body pulsed with red light. But as he spoke, something strange happened. The human DNA samples in the lab began to glow, and Vale's crystal form responded, flickering with bits of blue light like rays. Emma pointed at him. Look at your own form, Commander. Your DNA remembers. It's trying to connect with the human samples right now. Vale looked down at his flickering form in horror. No, this is impossible. He stepped back, his red glow mixing with unexpected blue pulses. Not impossible, Ray said gently. Natural. Our bodies remember what we once were, what we could be again. We don't have to die out, Commander. We can learn to change again, to grow. But only if we accept help. Vale's form continued to flicker between red and blue as he stared at the test results still displayed on Emma's computer. The truth was right in front of him, written in light and DNA, but accepting it would mean admitting that everything he believed was wrong. Emma worked late into the night, long after Commander Vale had stormed out of the lab. Her eyes were tired, but she couldn't stop looking at the test results. Something in the patterns kept bothering her, like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. Ray, she called out suddenly. Can you show me those old records of your species again? The ones from before you became crystal beings. Ray moved to the computer, crystal form glowing softly in the dark lab. These records are very old. Most of my people don't even look at them anymore. Images appeared on the screen, showing strange DNA patterns from thousands of years ago. Emma pulled up her own files, ancient human DNA samples from deep in Earth's past. She put both images side by side and gasped. Ray, look at this. The two DNA patterns matched almost perfectly, not like today's patterns, but like two branches from the same ancient tree. This can't be right, Ray whispered, crystal form pulsing rapidly. Run the test again. Emma ran it 3 more times. Each test showed the same thing. Ray, your people and humans, we didn't just take different paths. We started from the same place. Somewhere, millions of years ago, we were the same species. Ray stood very still, crystal form glowing dimmer than usual. Our oldest stories tell of a time when we lived on another world, before we found our crystal planet. But no one believes those stories anymore. They should, Emma said, pointing to more data. Look here. Both our species have the same basic genetic code, just changed over millions of years. Your people chose to change quickly through technology. Humans changed slowly through natural evolution. Just then, the lab door burst open. Commander Vale walked in with 2 other crystal beings. What are you doing here so late? He demanded. Emma didn't hide the screen. Finding the truth, Commander. Want to see it? Vale moved closer, his red glow reflecting off the computer screen. What truth? The truth about where your people came from, Emma said. She showed him the matching DNA patterns. Your species and humans shared the same homeworld once. We're related. Lies, Vale shouted, but his crystal form flickered blue again. We were never like you. We came from the crystal world. Ray stepped forward. No, Commander. We found the crystal world. We weren't born there. Ray pointed to the ancient DNA patterns. This is proof. Our ancestors were organic, just like humans. Some of them left Earth millions of years ago, found the crystal world, and chose to change themselves. But our history, Vale's voice was uncertain now. History can be forgotten, Emma said gently. But DNA remembers. Your bodies remember. That's why you're dying now. You changed too much, too fast. You forgot where you came from. One of the crystal beings with Vale moved closer to the screen. Commander, these patterns, they match our oldest records. The ones in the forbidden archives. Vale's red glow dimmed. The archives we're not supposed to talk about. The ones the Council keeps hidden. Because they show the truth, Ray said. Our people were afraid of this knowledge. Afraid it would make us seem less perfect. So they hid it, tried to forget it. But our DNA didn't forget. Emma pulled up more data. Your crystal DNA is failing because it's trying to remember its organic past. That's why human DNA helps. It reminds your DNA of what it used to be, how it used to adapt and change. Vale looked at his flickering form, now pulsing with more blue than red. If this is true, everything we believed about ourselves was built on fear, Ray finished. Fear of our true nature, fear of being imperfect. But look what that fear has cost us. We're dying because we tried to be too perfect. The lab fell quiet. Outside, the first light of dawn was beginning to show. The truth they had discovered would change both species forever, if they could survive what was coming next. The morning sun had barely risen when the alarm started ringing in Emma's lab. Red lights flashed everywhere as security screens showed multiple crystal beings appearing in the building. They're here to destroy everything, Ray said, crystal form pulsing with worry. Vale must have called for backup. Emma quickly began copying files to secure drives. We can't let them erase the proof. Your people need to know the truth about their past. Commander Vale burst into the lab with 5 crystal warriors. Their forms glowed angry red, like hot metal. Stop what you're doing, Vale ordered. This research ends now. Think about what you're doing, Commander. Ray moved between Vale and Emma. This knowledge could save our people. Our people don't need saving. Vale's form flashed brightly. We need to stay pure, perfect. These human ideas will poison our society. Emma kept working at her computer, trying to save as much data as she could. One of Vale's warriors raised a crystal weapon, pointing it at her machines. No. Ray jumped forward, pushing the warrior back. You don't understand what you're destroying. Vale laughed coldly. Understanding. We understand perfectly. You want to make us weak like humans. Make us organic again. We won't allow it. But as Vale spoke, something strange started happening. The human DNA samples in the lab began to glow brightly. All the crystal beings in the room started flickering, their red glow mixing with blue pulses. What's happening? One of the warriors asked, looking at his changing form. Emma pointed to their flickering bodies. Your DNA is responding to the human samples. It remembers what you used to be. You can't fight your own nature forever. Lies. Vale raised his own weapon, aiming at the sample storage unit. We'll destroy every trace of this corrupt research. Ray moved faster than anyone expected. The ambassador's crystal form suddenly grew brighter than ever before, creating a shield of blue light around Emma and the crucial samples. I won't let you destroy our future, Ray said firmly. Look at yourself, Vale. Really look. Vale's form was now pulsing with more blue than red. His weapon shook in his hand. This is some kind of trick. No trick, Emma said, standing beside Ray. This is evidence. Proof that your bodies remember where they came from. You can deny it, fight it, try to destroy it, but you can't change the truth. One of the warriors lowered his weapon, staring at his flickering form. Commander, maybe we should listen. My body, it feels different, stronger somehow. The human DNA isn't weakening you, Emma explained. It's reminding your crystal forms how to adapt, how to change and grow naturally. Vale's weapon clattered to the floor. His crystal form was now pulsing with equal parts, red and blue light. All my life, he whispered, I believed we were perfect. That changing would make us weak. But look at what fighting change has done to our people, Ray said gently. We're dying because we tried to be too perfect. Sometimes strength comes from accepting what we are, not fighting it. Emma walked to her computer, pulling up the DNA comparison charts. Your species made amazing changes, evolved in wonderful ways. But you don't have to forget where you came from to be special. Vale looked at his warriors, all of them now glowing with mixed colors. If what you say is true, if we really did come from the same place as humans, then we have a choice, Ray finished. We can keep denying our past and die out, or accept it and find a way to live. The lab fell quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the gentle pulsing of crystal forms. The next few moments would decide the fate of an entire species. Emma's lab had become very crowded. More crystal beings had arrived, but not to fight. They came to see the truth for themselves. Every new arrival experienced the same thing. Their crystal forms began to pulse with blue light when they got near the human DNA samples. I think I know how to save your species, Emma said, standing before the gathered beings. But you're not going to like it. Ray moved closer to the computer screen where Emma was showing her results. Tell them. Emma took a deep breath. Your crystal forms are beautiful, but they're killing you. To survive, you'll need to become partially organic again. The room filled with shocked whispers. Vale, his form now mostly blue, stepped forward. What do you mean, partially organic? Look at this, Emma pointed to her screen. We can use human DNA to remind your bodies how to adapt. You won't become fully human. You'll be something new. A perfect blend of crystal and organic. Ray's form pulsed brightly. I'll do it. I'll be the first to try. Ray, no. One of the other crystal beings said. It's too dangerous. What if something goes wrong? What if nothing changes? Another added. Our whole species will die out. Emma walked to her workstation, where she had prepared the procedure. The process isn't simple, she explained. Your crystal DNA will have to remember how to grow and change again. It might be uncomfortable. Vale watched silently as Emma explained more details. His form flickered between red and blue, showing his internal struggle. Finally, he spoke. "Why should we trust you? How do we know this won't destroy us?" "Because you're already being destroyed," Emma said simply. "Look at your own records. Each generation of your people is weaker than the last. Your crystal forms can't adapt to new challenges. But this," she held up a glowing vial of combined human and crystal DNA. "This could give you back what you lost." Ray stepped into the testing chamber Emma had prepared. "Our ancestors made a choice to become crystal beings. Now we must make another choice, evolve or die." The chamber hummed to life as Emma started the procedure. Everyone watched as Ray's crystal form began to change. Blue light pulsed through the chamber, growing brighter and brighter. "Ray's DNA patterns are shifting," Emma announced, watching her screens. "The human DNA is helping the crystal structure remember its organic nature." Vale pressed closer to the chamber's window. Is Ray in pain?" "No pain." Ray's voice came through clearly. "It feels right, like waking up from a long sleep." The light in the chamber grew so bright that everyone had to look away. When it finally dimmed, they all gasped. Ray stood there, still crystal-like, but different. The hard edges had softened. The blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. The form moved more smoothly, more naturally. "How do you feel?" Emma asked, checking her readings. Ray stepped out of the chamber, moving with new grace. "I feel alive, more alive than I have ever felt. I can feel my form wanting to adapt, to grow. It's amazing." "The readings are perfect," Emma said excitedly. "The human DNA has helped Ray's crystal form remember how to change and evolve." "Who's next?" The room fell quiet. Every crystal being looked at Ray's new form with wonder and fear. They had to choose between staying pure, but dying, or changing and surviving. Vale stepped forward, his form now glowing completely blue. "I am next," he said firmly. "Our people have hidden from change long enough. It's time to remember who we really are." 1 month had passed since the first transformation. Emma's lab had become the center of something amazing. The room was filled with beings that were neither fully crystal nor fully organic, but something wonderfully new. "The latest test results are perfect," Emma said, showing her computer screen to Ray and Vale. "Your new forms are stable and healthy. You can adapt to changes just like natural life forms should." Ray's transformed body glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to flow like water. The hard crystal edges had become smooth and living. "How many of our people have chosen to change now?" "Over 80%, Vale answered. His own form was similar to Ray's, the angry red glow completely gone. "More are coming every day. They see us and realize there's nothing to fear." Emma walked to the window, looking at the temporary housing units set up outside her lab. Hundreds of crystal beings had come to Earth, waiting for their chance to transform. "Your people are brave," she said. "It's not easy to change everything you are." "We had no choice," Vale said quietly. "But now I understand. That's what makes it beautiful. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about being able to change." Just then, the lab door opened. A group of human scientists walked in, led by the head of Emma's research center. With them came several transformed beings who now worked as bridges between the two species. "Dr. Stone," the research head said, smiling, "the Council of Science has reviewed your results. They've approved the building of transformation centers around the world. Your process will help save an entire civilization." Ray moved forward, form shifting smoothly. "And our people will keep our promise. We'll share our technology, our knowledge. Humans helped us remember how to change. Now we'll help humans reach for the stars." Speaking of changes, Vale added, his form brightening, "The first children have been born to transformed parents. They're perfect, crystal and organic together, able to change and grow naturally." Emma sat at her desk, looking at pictures of the new children. They glowed with soft light, but moved and grew like living things. They're the first of a whole new kind of life, she said. Not pure crystal, not pure organic, but stronger because they're both. Some of our people still refuse to change, Vale said, looking out at the stars. They say they'll find another way. But more come every day, especially after seeing the children. They'll come when they're ready, Ray said gently. Change can't be forced. We learned it the hard way. Emma pulled up one last set of test results. Look at this, she said excitedly. The transformed DNA. It's doing something new. Your bodies aren't just remembering how to adapt. They're learning new ways to change, better than either human or crystal alone. Evolution, Ray said, watching the patterns shift on the screen. Real, natural evolution. Something we thought we'd given up forever. Vale touched the screen with a partially crystalline hand. We thought we had to choose between being perfect and being alive. We were wrong. Real perfection is being able to change. Outside, the sun was setting, making the transformed beings glow like stars come down to Earth. Human scientists worked side by side with their new allies, learning from each other, growing together. What happens next? Emma asked, looking at her friends who were neither crystal nor human, but something wonderfully new. We live, Ray said simply. We grow. We change. And we remember that the greatest strength comes not from being perfect, but from being willing to evolve. In the gathering dark, the transformed beings glowed like hope made real, proof that sometimes the best way forward is to remember where you came from, and that true perfection lies not in staying the same, but in being brave enough to change.